And stops for the Premier League Grand Final special show tonight. Big panel in to discuss the big game. All the highlights of yesterday's preliminary final, and what a ripper that was at the Chaplin Reserve. We've got the prizes for the junior comp. We've got a special award presentation. Stay tuned for that one. It's all happening over the next hour. Stay with us, won't you? And welcome back, good folks at home. Isn't it wonderful, eh, this time of the year? The whole of Melbourne stops for the Premier League Grand Final. Lots of action coming at you for the next 60 minutes on the soccer show, and I'm as excited as I possibly could be to be sitting next to my good little buddy, the voice of authority, Paulie Williams. And Paul, what a magnificent day yesterday. What a lot of action to look forward to. I don't know what I'm talking about this weekend in the Grand Final. Get me out of it, Paul.
I'll tell you what he should be talking about. What he should be talking about is the preliminary final, and what a good game it was. We'll have all the highlights of that coming up shortly. But firstly, we've got a new look to the soccer show this week, an extended panel. And our special guests are familiar faces of Laurie Schwab and John Shocker Miles. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Good evening, viewers.
Good to have you both here.
And Paul and Blakey.
Oh, thanks very much, Shocker.
See, I spoke to Blakey, done the right thing.
Yes, the mealy mouth midget.
It had to happen once in 3 years. And Laurie, I'll start with you first, just quickly. News during the week, referees on strike. But that crisis was averted by the VSF, and they did turn up to the game yesterday, which was good. But also the Melbourne Zebras and Heidelberg were kicked out of court with their bid to try and stop the shareholders meeting next week.
I reckon the ASF should go on strike. I mean, what they did stinks. They should have left the 14-team league alone. But as you said, there'll be a meeting on Wednesday, and they'll probably change the Articles of Association to allow a 12-team league to go ahead. And we could have a kick-off by the 30th of September.
With a bit of luck.
Little Schwabby taking a bit of editorial licence. I had nothing to do with that. And John Miles, of course, you're a little bit topical because you've got the zebra tie on. Not particularly attractive piece of gear, but nevertheless symbolic of your support of the Zebras?
Yeah, I supported the Zebras all the way through, and I'm disappointed like Laurie. I'm not going to go as far as Laurie to say that it was a bad move, but I supported the Zebras.
Shocking move.
That's Laurie Schwab. Blakey, I love the Zebras. I love working for them, and I'm sorry they're gone, but I hope they can fight back.
And there's no more full of love person than John Miles. Speaking of love, Paulie, I love you.
Don't propose.
We bonded yesterday at the Chaplin Reserve for the preliminary final. An excellent day's entertainment, big crowd in, high excitement.
And it is, and we're going there right now. It's Bulleen against Port Melbourne. Join Greg and I at Chaplin Reserve.
And here we are in the inner sanctum of Melbourne journalism. All the top names are here. If you can just pan over that way, cameraman. Frank McGrillis, Dwight Tufnell. And over here, the man that requested these bars to be put on the window. And we have Peter Desira from the Melbourne Sun. Peter, how do you think the game will go today?
It's an interesting encounter, obviously. Port Melbourne you'd expect to be the favourites, but after their defeat last week, who knows? Bulleen have got their tails up. Should be a great game.
And we've caught up with the 3BM boys before they go straight on the air. Best soccer show on a Sunday afternoon, no problem there. Gives you all the information. And one of the anchormen, Frank McGrillis. How are you, Frank?
Very well, John. How are you today?
I know you're on tenterhooks because you're waiting on the Aberdeen Celtic result from Scotland, but more importantly, who's going to win today?
Yeah, I think Port Melbourne will get up today, John. I think they'll get a fright last week from the result they got last week, and I think they'll get up today, turn it around, and hopefully go on into the final.
This guy is talking to me. It's the Green Gully coach, Chris Taylor. How are you, Chris?
Good, Shocker. How are you?
Nice to see you at the game. Are you doing a bit of player spotting?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. Yeah, looking at a couple for next year as well.
How do you think the game will go today?
I think Port Melbourne will get their act together and take it out today. I think they've got a lot at stake after what they've been through all year. They can't afford to get beat, so yeah, Port Melbourne today.
Port Melbourne. Well, just to show you we have made up, me and Chris Taylor are the best of friends. How's that? Well, last week you saw me in the shower. This week I'm going to show you my nuts. This is Jimmy the Nutman. He's been doing soccer for 30 years. In fact, I think he invented soccer. How are you, Jimmy?
Very good, thanks.
Who do you think will win today?
Eh?
Or do you know who's playing?
Yeah.
Obviously, Jimmy's Scottish, you can tell by the accent. Jimmy, we're interviewing you on television.
Port Melbourne.
Port Melbourne's going to win. Jimmy the Nutman said that Port Melbourne's going to win, and everybody knows he's a nutcase. Well, that's Shocker Miles here, taking it to the terrace. We've got a great idea of how the game's going to go. We've met everybody today, and now we'll just go and see how good the predictions were. We'll go and watch the game now, and don't forget all you coaches out there, if you've got any players you want to get rid of, dump them in the dump master. They're in the phone book, dump master, best place to dump.
This is the preliminary final coming from Chaplin Road in Sunshine. It's Bulleen against Port Melbourne. The winner here, of course, a place in next week's grand final at Olympic Park, playing against Altona Magic. Let's just take a look at the two sides. Bulleen, first of all, Jeff Olver, of course, in goal. Returning to the side is Robert Krajacic. He was suspended last week. Making way for him is Pat Giacorini, who unfortunately misses the match through injury. 5 scorers for Bulleen last week in their match: Valentic, Patterson, Diorio, Lutkins and Giacorini. But the architect behind all the goals was number 9, Dale White. He is the real danger man for Port Melbourne to watch out for. The Sharks have made 2 changes, returning back to the side. Nick Palomares, the number 7, in the sweeping position. And star player Sava Rusmir, number 11, on the left-hand side of midfield. Both were sorely missed last week. Be interesting to see today, Blakey. We saw in the match a few weeks ago the way Bulleen were too physical for Port Melbourne. And Olver down very quickly there, and he had to be because Saltis was lurking.
Bulleen, Grabak, good ball. Lutkins on the left boot. That was a pearler by Peter Lutkins. In a trice.
Giroux, well played, away from Diorio, still going. Nice ball inside. Papadopoulos has had a lively start. Good shot.
The home of Sunshine City, and of course the near amalgam of Sunshine City and George Cross, which, unless you're in a complete imbecile pool, you would recognise as the Sunshine Georgies. Sonsini, straight through the gap. Dale White holds it off. Sonsini overlaps, left foot coming in deep. Can't get around Argiru too long. No, gets it back, but a good take, Anastasiadis, who does a hop, skip and a scamper off his line.
Good ball in. Anastasiadis, Liparotti flicks on. Anastasiadis comes, and he had to as well because Lutkins was lurking. Still not cleared. And Diorio, well, I'm not sure whether he meant to shoot there, but he caught Anastasiadis by surprise, no matter what he did. A match that hasn't met expectations so far. It's a gripping, tight, tense battle rather than an open, flowing battle. Often is the case in finals football, but Diorio with a chance to change that here. Lurking forward on the right-hand side now. Chance to get the cross in. Goes past his man nicely as well. Chipped across. White's there! Oh, great save, Anastasiadis from Sonsini.
That was a magnificent save by Anastasiadis.
And a great move from Bulleen, but Sonsini may look back on that and feel...
Well, I don't think he could do much more. He actually caressed it toward the bottom corner of the net, and Anastasiadis had to launch himself from right to left.
Well, Sonsini's header.
You've got to credit White too.
He's not a tall player, but he jumped so well there. There's a chance off the crossbar. Liparotti. Patterson.
Well,
Bulleen all of a sudden have come alive, and 2 chances in under a minute.
So there you have it. No goals in the first 45 minutes, 0-0 at half-time, and a tight, tense affair, as you would expect by 2 sides trying to force their way into the grand final. Laurie, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, great saves by Dean Anastasiadis, the Port Melbourne goalkeeper. They were the highlights of the first half. He made a particularly good save from Tom Sonsini, point-blank header, and that could have been a goal. He made a really good save very early in the first couple of minutes from Peter Lutkins and another one from Peter Diorio, so he was really the hero of the first half.
I think on points, Greg, you'd have to give the first half to Bulleen, only just though.
Well, it's another one of those engaging sort of struggles that you do tend to get in the final series. You've got 2 very, very good teams, very little between them, and Shocker really not prepared to give much away in the early going. It's really a case of being very cautious and trying to pick out weaknesses.
Well, both teams were very tense, and that didn't make for a good first half. But Takis Fingers would be very upset with his forward play because they weren't getting anywhere, and to me playing too far apart. And big Liparotti, he was cleaning up, and Robert Krychak. So hopefully the second half, Takis Fingers will make the team open up.
But Palomares did very well for him. I mean, they pushed him up further than he usually plays. He was playing virtually as a central striker, and he had some very good runs.
Critical, I think, Paul, probably, and we pointed it out, was that Bulleen seemed to be not only well organised at the back, but also have a physical advantage and a height advantage over the Port Melbourne players. And it's really, I guess, at this point, up to Takis Fingers to try and get over that hurdle.
That's the big one, isn't it? Players like Liparotti and Patterson.
Oh, he's magnificent, the big Lipper.
Oh, he's
Isn't he?
sensational.
Massive
Somebody
player.
should sign him from the National League immediately.
Well, I think that's imminent without a doubt.
There is nothing, John, that he can't do. I mean, he really is a terrifically talented kid, level-headed and showing, well, experience beyond his years in this final series.
Well, it's shown in the final series especially, where his confidence has grown. He's grown in stature. For us, seen him a year ago, and as Laurie said, he's got to be National League material. I think Laurie's working for a National League team as an agent, though, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Don't forget, he's really a centre-back, and in this game he was pushing up on George Swingos and playing very well in the midfield as well, as he did in that game when they beat Port Melbourne in the league.
Libero they call it.
Well, in front of the back four.
Laurie, you were an authority once. Now we'll just leave it at that. Let's talk about the soccer show.
Mr. Know-it-all, huh?
Thank you very much. The soccer show, I love that sort of acknowledgement. The soccer show, as you would understand, is supported by some very special people. You've seen some of our sponsors over the weeks that we've been on air, Paul. We've got to acknowledge two very good friends of ours. One that you can have a bit of a public flog there, Schwabby.
Soccer Australia.
Laurie writes for them too.
I write for them too.
Yes.
Best soccer writer in Australia.
Contra.
And
It wasn't easy to get them on the show with competition for Blakey's ABSW, but we did manage it somehow. The other one, of course, is Bayswater Indoor Soccer Centre, providing you with indoor soccer and clothes as well. Go out to Bayswater. They've got some great gear out there, and it's a good shop. You've been there, Laurie. I know you've been up there.
All the time.
The Van Egmond family.
You wouldn't keep me out of there.
Good supporters of soccer too in Victoria. All right, we'll be back soon with the second half of the preliminary final. Stay with us.